All right, BJ from Board Game Gumbo, Gumbo Live here. I've got my guests, Jake and Danielle from Draft Mechanic Podcast, and there's something I wanted to cover. Two quick Kickstarter news for you. Both of us we share a mutual friend, the very tall Chris Kirkman, towers over me. But tell me about this new game that he's got, because I've seen it and I know a little bit about it, but you guys have actually put your paws on it, right?
Yeah.
Twice now. Well, two separate instances now. Mm-hmm. We got to play it at Gen Con. We got to do a 4-player game at their demo, and we have a preview copy that we are looking at. We're going to be talking about on our next episode.
Mm-hmm. And this is Homebrewers, right, from Dice Hate Me Games out on Kickstarter right now.
Yep, and it's designed by Ben Rossett and Matthew O'Malley, who did Crafters and also Between Two Cities. Yeah, really good design duo, and I'm just really enjoying this. Want me to do? You want? Okay. So Homebrewers is a game about, what a surprise, homebrewing. Each of you are a homebrewer. You're brewing beer in your garage to present at the Summerfest and the Oktoberfest. The game takes place over 8 months, and it's done with a kind of a dice action selection mechanic. You're going to roll a set of 3 dice that will determine the actions you have for that particular month, either sanitizing your equipment, getting ingredients or flavors, or playing cards into your tableau, or, unsurprisingly, brewing beer, which is kind of what we're all here to do in this particular game. But as you brew beer and use different card powers on the flavors that you're putting into the beer, you're going to be moving up 4 different tracks on the board. There's tracks for the 4 different kinds of beer you're brewing: IPA, stout, porter, and ale. But as you work, as you work the generic ale, you are brewing ale. As you work your way up the tracks by brewing more batches with more flavors, you're also going to hit some breakpoints on those tracks that will award you special bonuses, kind of like in Ganshan Clever when you get that extra +1 because you made it however far on a track. And it's going to give you extra money or extra cards or extra actions. So you've kind of got a lot of synergy there of how you want to be, what beers you want to be brewing and what you want to really be advancing on each particular track about. Twice a month or twice in the game, you're going to have the fest where you're going to get points on whoever's the highest on each of the 4 tracks. There's also some end game scoring where you're trying to please different judges based on what kind of flavors you have in your beers as well. And whoever has the most at the end is the winner.
And this looks like the typical Dice Hate Me production, really thematic. The graphic design that company does. I mean, there's not many companies that do better graphic design, in my opinion, than Dice Hate Me. I mean, every single part of the production always means something. This one looks a little bit more like a spreadsheet, though. There's a lot of numbers and a lot of rows. How does it play? Does it feel like you're doing some home brewing and doing some competition for the Oktoberfest and the Summerfest?
Well, I think one of the neat things about it is how much mitigation and control they actually give you in the game. Jake said you rolled the dice and what you roll is what you get to do. But there's a trading phase at the beginning of every round where you can trade between the players or amongst the players to make sure that you get things that everybody gets the best out of what was rolled that round. And even then, nobody still always pay $1 to change a die to a different face, to any other face. So you have a really good amount of mitigation. You're not beholden to, I just rolled a bunch of stuff I don't need this round. So it does feel like you have control, and homebrewing is all about taking the control you have and tweaking it and hoping you can make the best thing out of living organisms and a whole bunch of stuff you put into it. So I like the fact that there is that, but there is also a little bit of randomness. Like, when you draw cards on a flavor action, when you take flavors that you can put into your beer, which is how you make your beer more lucrative, for lack of a better term. When you brew a beer, you get the benefit of the brew, which has to do with your sanitization rating, but you also get the benefit of any flavors you've put into the beer. So if you've made watermelon pecan kimchi stout, which is legitimately a thing you can do, and you are not penalized for the fact that sounds awful.
Don't do that in real life.
And each of those cards, each of the watermelon, pecan, and kimchi are going to have a benefit. Maybe you get an extra level in that beer. Maybe you get an extra point. Maybe you get to activate the beer, or not activate, but go up a level in the beer to the left or right. So as you brew these things, you are affecting your other scores. But what comes out in that trade row is essentially random. Now, you can wipe it, but if you're looking for one specific thing, It may come out, it may not. And if it doesn't, you have to work with what's there.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds fun. Hey, Bill Laissez was just checking out the Kickstarter today. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. Bill, get it. It's good. I really like it. And we were joking about whatever the kimchi something stout, but the flavor cards that come up are all things that I've seen in beer at some point. And realistically, this is kind of the fun of real homebrewing, is that I guarantee that there is a homebrewer out there that has done the watermelon pecan kimchi stout at some point, because homebrewing is all about trying something crazy and new and doing some weird brews just to see what comes up.
I liked it, but my brother did not. My brother brewed up a something called Nacho Mama, and it was basically instead of throwing, I hope I don't screw this up. When you double hop something, you throw the hops in at the end, and you just kind of let them sit there. He threw jalapeno peppers instead, and let it sit there, and it was a real weedy beer. So it had the taste. When you drank it, it smelled like eating some nachos from a football game or a baseball game. It actually had the aftertaste of that.
Oh yeah.
There's no cheddar cheese in it, but he said when you're eating nachos, it's the smell of the jalapenos mixed with the corn chips and the cheese that give you that flavor. So he said it was a little bit too strong, but I loved it. So
there's no such thing.
Yeah,
I mean, there is such a thing. It's one bear.
I wonder if we can make that in Homebrewers. That would be interesting. Hey, one more thing about home. Oh, Bill says, see that sounds actually good. Bill, hopefully we can meet someday and I can bring you some of the Nacho Mama beer. But one more thing we should throw out there. I'm not a solo gamer, although I have played lots of the games that I own solo. I don't consider myself a focused solo gamer, but Chris Kirkman was telling me there is a solo mode in this game. Did you guys get the chance to try it out?
No, I did not know about this. We have it's 3 through 5, and then there's a 2-player dummy player variant as well.
I've got it on the screen right now. So I'm not sure if you can see it, but you see those Charlie's cards there at the bottom?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's what's for the 2-player mode. So maybe I guess you can definitely use that in 1 player as well.
I think that's what it is. Oh. There is a 1-player mode. At least that's what I was told. So, boy, it'd have been nice if Chris Kirkman would have been on the show to talk about it, but he's not. Yeah. So
he's too cool.
He's too cool for us. Yeah. So, Bill Laissez said, "Homebrewer myself, so I appreciate crazy stuff like that."
There you go.
Dan Cheston from the Gateway and Filler Games group there on Facebook. Oh. Now you're talking. Bring on the solo.